All right, friends, welcome back to Park Junkie. I'm Todd C., your host, coming to you from Yellowstone National Park out here this evening on the banks of the Madison River with Mount Haines out behind me there. We have some updated information from the Park Service regarding the north and northeast entrance here in Yellowstone. We'll discuss that. We'll also look into the grizzly bear census. That's right, a counting of the grizzly bears here in Yellowstone National Park, which happens on an annual basis. It's going on right now. There's some things you should know about that. We're also beginning a new segment here on Park Junkie, the National Park Roundup, the National Park News Roundup, that is. We'll look at news from various national parks. Today, we're going to look into what's going on down in Death Valley with the floods. How about Joshua Tree? A little more flooding down there. We've got fire bans in Olympic. We've got search and rescue missions in Grand Teton. And we have new trails being put in Big Bend National Park, as well as water shortages at the Grand Canyon. Let's get into the news right about now. All right, friends, that's right. Yellowstone National Park officials just announced in the last week that they expect the north and northeast entrances here to the park to be open by mid-October. October 15th, in fact, that's the date they threw out. They expect that northern entrance, a road that's coming up the old Gardner Road there from Gardner up to Mammoth Hot Springs, expect that to be open by mid-October. Currently, they have about 1.5 miles finished of 4 miles that they're changing to 2-lane road. And they're expecting to put asphalt on that and have that ready for the winter season this year. That's cool news for those folks in Cook City, as well as the folks in Gardner who want to get into the park, as well as folks who want to join the National Park tour here in Yellowstone during the winter. So folks who want to visit Yellowstone in the winter only have that option, or to take a snow coach in from West Yellowstone to Snow Lodge in Old Faithful. But that Mammoth Hotel up there, the Mammoth Hot Springs Hotel, that's a winter destination for a number of people just out of Gardner. But without that road, no way to get there. Looks like you'll have an option for that this winter. Also, that northeast road going out through Lamar Valley out to Cook City, Silvergate, that's looking to be open as well. There were 5 major sections of damage on that road from Slough Creek out to Baronet Meadows. 5 different sections washed out. The Park Service expects to have that road open as well by mid-October. Now, neither of these are going to be permanent solutions to these problems. They will be developing further improvements to those roads over the coming years, but that does put them back in play. It opens up a major section of Yellowstone National Park, which is currently closed, and it's going to really advance the guest experience, the visitor experience here in Yellowstone by being able to access those areas and have a route into the park from that northeast and the north section of the park. So great work I got to give it to the NPS road crews, those guys and the people that put that planning together. They're making it happen pretty quick, and I'm pretty stoked on that, and I imagine a lot of visitors are really going to appreciate their efforts. So kudos, good job. I give it out where it's due, and there it is due, I believe. Other news from Yellowstone includes a announcement by the Park Service in coordination with the Interagency Grizzly Bear Study Team. They're announcing that the grizzly bear census, the grizzly bear counting, is going on again. At this time, it began a couple days ago on August 9th. They are basically trying to count the female grizzlies with cubs here inside the park and in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. The study is attempting to count these bears by, in fact, capturing them. What they're doing to capture these bears is they're putting out carcasses of roadkill, dead deer and elk from roadkill, and then when the bear's attracted to that, they have traps set up in those areas to trap the bear. They insist that what they're doing is humane and that they are not harming the bears, and I don't doubt that. They're just trying to get an accurate assessment of how many bears are in the park and in the surrounding areas and how the numbers are increasing, decreasing, or whether they're staying steady. Currently, the Park Service estimates that we have somewhere in the realm of 150 grizzly bears inside the park boundaries that are wholly or partially in the park, and then we have about 700 to 750 grizzly bears in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. So these numbers, what they do, they trap the female grizzlies. I don't know how they would determine what's going to be trapped. The bear that's trapped is the bear that's trapped, but they're looking to count those female bears with cubs. And but from the last count, I think they had somewhere over, well, from a 10-year period from 2006 to 2016, they averaged about 56 females with cubs in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem on an annual basis. So those bears usually have 2 to 3 cubs, so you can see that the numbers can increase substantially over a period of time. It's important to know what's out there, but it's important that you know where these areas are, and the Park Service has labeled those areas with what they describe as bright signs that clearly denote what's going on in that region. So if you pull off the road and you find a sign that says grizzly bear study in progress, do not go here, you're probably well advised to stay away from that area, because I, for one, certainly don't want to get anywhere near a grizzly bear and a dead deer carcass. It's not my place, and it's probably not your place either. All right, well, that's what's going on in Yellowstone. We'll look at a couple of other parks right now. Death Valley, as you probably saw in the news, hit with some crazy monsoons over the past week, shutting down roads, wiping out paved roads, asphalt roads, as well as damaging the primitive roads that are in the park. There's over 1,000 miles of road in Death Valley. It is the largest national park in the lower 48 with 3.4 million acres. Death Valley, the hottest, the lowest, and the driest place in the United States. Badwater there, negative 282 feet below sea level. You always have hot temperatures down there in the summer. Not much moisture. Death Valley averages less than 2 inches per rain per year. Well, guess what happened just last week? They got 1.46 inches of rain in a 3-hour period. Luckily, the Park Service reports that no one was injured. No deaths have been reported at this time from the flooding that occurred in Death Valley. The roads out there damaged, as well as water infrastructure systems. I understand that one water main was completely wiped out, a catastrophic event for the water systems there. I don't know what location that was, but at this time, Death Valley, most of that park is closed. I understand State Route 190 coming in out of the Lone Pine area over there off Highway 395, coming in from the west up to Father Crowley's Overlook and Lee Flat. I understand you can access that area. However, every other region of the park, including Furnace Creek, Badwater, Titus Canyon, Stovepipe Wells, the Dante's View, Zabriskie Point, all of these areas off limit, as the roads over there in that eastern section of the park completely devastated. It doesn't look like we're going to have those open anytime soon, but we'll find out. We've seen with Yellowstone that the road crews can move quickly when it's imperative. Don't know how imperative it'll be in Death Valley, but those are state highways crossing there, and it's a long distance to go around some of those areas. So hopefully, with any luck, we've got Death Valley back open here in a few weeks. Until then, we will just abide with that view from Father Crowley's Overlook. That's right. All right, we're looking also at Olympic National Park, which has, while these other areas of the national parks are experiencing record rainfalls, Olympic National Park, known for record rainfalls, Forks, Washington up there being the wettest place in the United States with over 100 inches of precipitation a year, while Death Valley only gets 2. Well, up in Olympic right now, dry conditions have led the Park Service to institute a Phase 1 fire ban. Basically, what that means for visitors is that you can't have any ground fires. Any fire you have inside the national park and part of that Olympic National Forest that surrounds the park, you'll need to check those regulations when you go in there. But that area is under a Phase 1 fire ban, meaning that any fires that you light there must be contained within a metal fire grate, one of those metal fire pits that you find in your park campgrounds. That's the only place you can currently have a fire in Olympic National Park. Moving on, Grand Canyon National Park up there in northern Arizona. Grand Canyon represent. Those guys having major water shortages. Now, they had instituted a water use restriction a few weeks ago, and they lifted that just last week due to the fact that they received some precipitation there inside the national park. But as Park Service officials were monitoring the storage tanks there on the south rim of the Grand Canyon, they noticed that their levels were not returning to normal. They were not returning to where they should be, despite the fact that they had precipitation. So they reinstituted the water use restriction there inside the south rim at the Grand Canyon. What that means for visitors is the Park Service is asking that you minimize any use of water while you're inside the park. Don't waste water on anything that you wouldn't waste water on if you didn't have any water in the backcountry. Basically, try to use as little water as possible. Take short, if not any shower. You know, if you're washing dishes, wash an entire load at a time if you have a washer. If you're washing by hand, just minimize the use of water. Try to save and conserve as much water as possible. It's always good practice when you're in these desert parks anyway. Grand Teton National Park here in Wyoming, just south of Yellowstone, just recently reported that they've had 3 search and rescue operations there in the park within a 24-hour period. That's right, Monday and Tuesday of this week, the Park Service search and rescue team responded with helicopter to 3 separate incidents. One, a 21-year-old female at Surprise Lake who become disoriented. They flew her out, took her out to get medical attention at a local medical establishment, a local hospital. The second, a 22-year-old female who jumped off of Jump Rock up at Phelps Lake and actually hurt her back, was unable to walk according to reports, at least walk. She couldn't walk more than a couple of steps. Park Service removed her with a helicopter. However, upon getting her back to Whitegrass Ranch, I believe she declined any further medical attention at that time. And our third rescue was of a climber, an unroped climber who took a substantial fall while traversing from Mount Tiwanaut over to Mount Owen. This climber, unroped, fell, has suffered substantial head injuries as well as possible broken extremities. His climbing partner notified the Park Service, and they brought in a helicopter, short hauled that guy out of there, and he too was taken to a local medical facility. We wish all these people well. If you're out there in the backcountry, understand that search and rescue is not always there for you. You need to be responsible for your actions in the backcountry. Don't take unnecessary risks. Try to play it safe, because these guys could be overloaded at sometimes, and it may be sometime that before they make it to you, if they make it to you at all. It's not their responsibility to come and get you. It's your responsibility to play it safe out there. But we still wish all of the people who were injured in these incidents down in Grand Teton, we wish them well and wish them a speedy recovery. Other news from the national parks coming out of Big Bend down in Texas. Big Bend, home to the Chisos Mountain Range. Big Bend, and really cool park if you haven't been there. It's down in southwest Texas, and it is the only national park to contain a mountain range entirely within its boundary, the Chisos Mountains. In the Chisos Mountains, you may be surprised to hear that there are bear roaming in those mountains. Now, they're not large bear. They are small. Over the period of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, these bears have evolved to be pretty small. They are caught on a land island there. As the planet changed over the course of history, the bears that were there when there was vegetation all around that area have been trapped as the Chihuahuan Desert advanced around that mountain range. Today, the mountain range completely cut off from any other vegetative zone, at least heavy vegetative zone, that a bear would enjoy. So those bears stay there. Well, they've taken over an area around the Chisos campground right now. The Chisos Basin campground currently closed to guests until the bears move out of there. The trails in the Chisos Basin still open. You can hike up to Emery Peak. You can hike up to the Lone Pine. I can't remember the name of the mine there. You can also do the Window hike down there, but you can't take the Window trailhead from the Chisos campground because that's closed, but you can take it from right there at the lodge and access the window trailhead that way. If you're not really into the Chisos Mountains, but you're still in Big Bend, guess what? You have a new trail, the Lone Mountain Trail down out of Panther Junction. That's a 3-mile, moderately strenuous trail, according to the reports from the Park Service. This trail just finished a couple weeks ago. They just cut the ribbon on it. It's a new trail, 3 miles right there, just north of Panther Junction, inside the north entrance there of Big Bend National Park, and you can hike right around that Lone Mountain. The trail circumnavigates the mountain. So that's a pretty cool roundup right there. Some information from a few of our parks. I'm going to start bringing this out on a weekly basis to try to keep you informed of what's going on out here in the national parks, because I think as times advance and we move forward in humanity's struggle to manage our public lands, we need to be watching what's happening here in our national parks. Some of the things that are happening are great. Some of the things that are happening might not be so great. We'll get into all that as we continue our journey here at Park Junkie. I want to thank you for tuning in. As always, if you like what you're finding here on the channel, please subscribe, hit that like button, and also don't hesitate to comment. Let me know what kind of content you'd like to see here on Park Junkie. And you can check me out over at the Park Junkie on Instagram, Park Junkie on Facebook, and join our little communities over there as we move forward here at Park Junkie. As always, thanks for tuning in, my friends. Check me out at parkjunkie.com, a complete guide to all 63 national parks. And when there becomes a 64th national park, I'll throw that one in as well. Until the next time, my friends, I'm going to get out of here, head back down to the Park Junkie map room, wrap up the evening, enjoy a nice time in the trees, and then I'm going to get out and do some trails here in the next few days. So stay tuned because we'll have more stuff coming. Thanks for tuning in, my friends. Good night.